Good evening, members. Welcome to September's meeting of the Full Town Council. Chair's opening remarks, agenda item 1. I've just got 4 things I wanted to quickly run through. On staffing, not only do we have 2 deputy mayors in the room tonight, we also have the benefit of 2 town clerks. So I'd like to formally welcome Sophie Gaskin to Sandwich Town Council. I think she's met everybody at some point, or nearly everybody at some point. And Sophie's appointment as town clerk is due to Jill departing us in 2 weeks' time. But I'm sure that all members would like to formally record our thanks for all that you've achieved over the last 2 years or so, Jill. The council, in my opinion, is in a much better place than it was before your arrival. I think you set a lot of the building blocks to enable Sophie to achieve more as we move forward. So thank you to you both. As I'm talking about HR related matters, there's a few others to update members on. We already know that Chloe is due to leave us in 2 weeks' time as well. So we'll be recruiting a temporary administrative assistant to support Sophie as she settles into her role. And that will give her time to decide how she wants to shape the team for the future. Sophie plans to bring a proposal to the HR committee in January. So we're doing some interviews, myself and Sophie, later this week of some candidates, and hopefully one of those will be suitable and we'll start with us shortly. Thank you. On the recruiting of a permanent finance officer, the current priority is really, for the next few months, is to focus on the budget setting for 26 to 27. So the interim finance officer will continue with us on this and beyond that, and then the longer term solution will form part of any decisions we make in the new year. And then finally, on recruitment, you might see a new face around the building. We have a new part-time caretaker. His name is Adrian, and he's been recruited as a permanent member of staff. Local government reorganisation. At the moment, we're not gaining any traction from DDC on the question of transferring assets to the town council, despite following up on our original inquiry that we agreed with the town council with 2 emails to the head of property assets and discussion by myself and Jill, the leader of DDC. We still have had no response. I'm due to meet with the leader of the DDC in a couple of weeks' time. I'll raise it again, but having spoken to other parish councils within the district, it's clear that DDC are not currently engaging with this matter. Let's see if they change their views on that. On a positive note regards DDC, we now have a town sprucer. It's not a town sprucer in the sense that we own them for Sandwich, but the district has a town sprucer. And I've been in conversations with Cllr Breen regards the appointment. This person is currently employed on a 6-month temporary contract. Whether it gets extended beyond that will depend on the success of it and the funding available. But what I've done, because it was a short turnaround, I've offered up some of the issues I'd already identified on the town trail, and that will form part of the work that the town sprucer will do over the next few weeks. I think the amount of work that needs to be done is far beyond a few weeks' work, so I think he'll scratch the surface but won't obviously complete all the things that need to be done. And then finally, 2 community-based events that we have links to, either as a council or as STBF. It was great to see the reinstatement of the sweeps at the White Mill after 60 years. Great exercise in rural engineering, and a real achievement down to Martin and all the volunteers at the White Mill. Did I? But you talked to me, so you shared it. And then the second thing is special mention for Councillor Ripley in terms of the amount of time she spent on Sandwich's heritage Open Days event.
Yep.
She was supported by a great set of volunteers and owners of the properties that were involved in the event itself. Even with the poor weather over the weekend, the event saw over 2,000 visits to the various buildings that were open. It was a resounding success, and it's great to hear that we'll be running it again next year, or at least the plan is to run it again next year. So thank you, Councillor Ripley.
Thank you.
Okay, moving into the main meat of the agenda. So agenda item 2, apologies received.
We've received travel apologies from Councillor Fortescue and Anderson, and personal apologies from Councillor Breen.
Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of disposable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Do we have any? I'll take silence as no. Thank you very much. Okay, agenda item 4. We have a few sets of minutes from various meetings to review and hopefully agree. So attachment 1, we've been asked to approve the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of STC held on the 13th of August and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. Do we have any comments from anybody on those? Councillor Carter?
Propose acceptance.
Somebody happy to second those? Councillor Franklin? I'll take that to the vote. Okay. Second set, attachment 2, is to receive the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held on the 11th of August 2025. Any comments? Councillor Black.
Thank you. The minutes for July were supposed to be corrected, but I don't see any reference to that in the August minutes at all.
Okay.
I'm looking at the papers here, the July ones have not been corrected. I would ask that they are corrected. This is a bit of a suck.
Which town clerk would like to respond to that? So you happy to take that away?
I understand that they were corrected, I think, at the committee meeting, so, yeah, I think, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd like the standing orders to be amended, so council declares that pecuniary interest, he doesn't take any discussion or vote on the matters therein, because we've always just walked out of the room, but apparently it's not written in black, in the grey area, so I think it should be written in black that councillors declare pecuniary interest, they leave the room, not let that agenda item or anybody discuss.
Okay, so we normally discuss the standing orders at the start of each year. If you're happy that to be logged up until then,
No,
unless you
as
want to
soon as
raise,
possible,
okay, then you'll need
because
to.
we've got more planning meetings, haven't we, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, then you need to raise a report for the next meeting. We can discuss it in earnest at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So we can log it, but if you can prepare a report in terms of what you're proposing, then we can discuss it. Councillor Back, are you happy to accept the minutes as they stand, subject to being updated, or would you prefer that they're deferred?
Subject to being updated, I can accept. Yeah.
Okay, somebody happy to propose that?
I'll suppose that.
Somebody happy to second that? Councillor.
Black.
And Councillor Mallett is second. Down to vote.
Oh, hang on, we've got 3 abstentions.
Yes.
I wasn't there.
Thank you very much.
Meeting.
Moving on to attachment 3, which is to receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 16th of July. Just like to know a small detail, but it was an extraordinary meeting, so that could be added into the record. Any comments? If not, somebody to propose them. Councillor Breen's proposing them. Councillor Ripley seconding. And go to a vote.
5 abstentions.
I wasn't there.
Thank you very much. Moving on to attachment 4, to receive the minutes of the Monks Wall Nature Reserve Committee meeting held on the 4th of June. Somebody have to propose those? Councillor Pennington proposing, Councillor Franklin seconding. And go to vote on those.
I wasn't there.
4 abstentions. So, Councillor Carter back there, that's 5. Okay, 5 abstentions.
Attachment attachment 5, to receive the minutes of the Maddox Charity Management Committee held on the 30th of June.
Prepared to propose the minutes.
Councillor Breen's happy to second. Vote on that.
Four abstentions.
And finally, to receive the minutes of the Heritage and Townscape Committee meeting held on the 9th of July 2025, that's attachment 6.
Happy to propose those as well.
Councillor Pennington seconded. Vote on those.
One, two, three, four abstains.
Okay, so before we move on to the next agenda item, has everybody got a copy of the actions log available? Yeah. I can just quickly run through some of these actions to see if we want to consider closing them. Okay. So the first is STC 08-2318, and this was a King Street Traffic Regulation Order proposal. This goes back to 2023. It was allocated to Councillor Marine and Councillor Mallet on the basis that it's 2 years old. I just wanted to ask whether it should now be closed, and if not, should it be moved to Heritage and Townscape?
Let's close it.
Close it.
I'll
Councillor
second
Marine,
that.
happy to close it?
Yeah.
Happy to second.
Yeah. I'm turning over the page, or is my page. STC 10-23-6, and this related to fair trade status. On the basis that the current business plan does not include this as a commitment in the next 2 years, I'm asking STC to review if this action should either remain open, and if so, should it transfer to Heritage and Townscape Committee to take forward, or whether it should be closed.
I propose closing this item.
Are we happy with that?
I can't see that we can take it any further.
Not in the next
So-
2 years.
No.
Okay, so I'm happy to second that. Okay. Yep. Councillor Moorhouse and Breen together. Thank you. Okay, moving down to STC 01-2408. This again is an old action. It was for the town clerk to liaise with Councillor Chandler on setting up a meeting with relevant KCC officer and myself, Sandwich residents, discuss potential new speed camera, on the basis that we now have agreed a highway improvement plan for the town, and as this is not included as a top 3 priority, although speeding is, I'd like to propose that we close this action.
Second that.
Okay. Put in your side. Okay. Got that. STC 01-2413. That was a meeting with relevant authorities, officers, risk of the RSAs for the cattle market. So again, this goes back to 2024, links to other actions around the bus stop, and I just wanted to seek views on whether, as a council, we feel we've exhausted all avenues, and if so, whether this action should be closed.
Let's keep it open.
Okay. So we're going to keep it open. Do we have somebody who's happy to own this action to support the town clerk on this? Councillor Moorhouse, are you happy to do this? Thank you. Happy to agree to that?
So who's seconding it?
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you. STC 02-2425. This is about draft policies and procedures. The draft complaints procedure on the agenda for full council tonight. So I'm suggesting we close that in terms of we've taken it forward, and we'll discuss this evening.
I'll second that.
And moving down to STC 03-24-8. This was seeking an update from the DDC parking team for assurances enforcement is now active for the cattle market. Again, this goes back to 24. What I would ask is whether that's something that could be linked in with Councillor Moorhouse, particularly as our DDC councillor. We may have a view that they are enforcing it, we may have a view that they're not, but
Well, seeing that they have been quite active over these last couple of months around the town, so
Yeah.
I'd say close it.
Okay. So, thank you very much. I'm happy to second that.
Yeah.
Okay. Through there. STC 042421. This is options of providing a PDF annotated to councillors. I think now that we've got an indicative cost, which is £20 per month per councillor, I'm not sure it's an expense that we would want to incur ourselves. Individuals themselves might want to invest in it, but I'd like to propose we close this now that we know the cost.
Happy to second.
Okay. Right to the end. ATCM 052313, arrangements with other local authorities, not-for-profit organisations and business report to be produced. This is on tonight's agenda, so I'd like to propose we close this. So we have to second that.
Second that.
Yeah, Councillor Carter, he is supporting that. And vote, close that. Right. And then review of policy and procedures, which is ATCM 052518. Again, this is on tonight's agenda, and the employee policies will be reviewed by HR committee, so I'd like to propose closure of that. Councillor Pennington has seconded. Okay. So a couple more. STC 072506, outstanding actions will review and provide an update for the resident council fund concerns shared during public participation session. Finance reports are now being shared for full council. A number of outstanding actions are being covered on the agenda for full council in September 2025. I'd like to propose we close this action.
Those against it.
Against it.
Sorry, I think we should be done the review.
That's the finance report.
So who was seconding that one?
Councillor Black.
One, two,
2, 3 against. Sorry, Councillor Carter's vote.
I can't
Vote.
I didn't hear properly. I'm still chasing. Which number is it?
Could you repeat that one?
STC 072506.
Oh, 06.
It's at the bottom of the page.
Oh, yes, I've just found it. So sorry.
Like residents and councillors.
I just found it.
So can we vote? We've got 2 abstentions, 2 against, 3 against, 3 abstentions. 4 abstentions. And 2 against. Moving on to STC 082508, 4 signatories to be altered for the purpose of EFG Harris, Aldgate and the DMA. So again, this is on the agenda tonight. So I'd like to propose closure.
Second, that's closed.
Yeah. And finally, STC 082511, the incident in 2022. Further advice from the insurance legal team which we've had, report back to the council. So again, confidential reports. This evening we'll take that forward, so I'd like to propose closure of that session.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So, thank you for persevering with that. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, payment schedules. We have a few payment schedules to cover here. Just find item 5. So, the first is to receive and note the payments for end of August, mid-September and end of September. These payments which are not supported by a minute reference have been authorised by officers with delegated powers in expenditure. That's attachment 7A. Are there any comments on that? If not, is something to propose? Councillor Pennington proposing.
Mr Mayor, it's 7A, 7B and 7C.
So always, right, okay, sorry, apologies, 7A, 7B and 7C, all 3 of them. Councillor Pennington still proposing.
Happy to
Councillor
second.
Carter is seconding. Vote. Very much. Item 5B, council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise end of September payment schedule on bank line. Councillor Franklin has proposed himself. Councillor Wiles, are you happy to vote on that? Okay. 5C, council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise mid-October payment schedules on bank line. Yeah, okay, Councillor Franklin again. I'm happy to be the second person on that. Good votes. Okay. And finally, 5D, council to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise end of October payment schedule on bank line. Councillor Franklin again. And I'm happy to be the second person. Good votes. Thank you very much.
So can I just confirm that for 5B, Councillor Franklin and Councillor Wiles are going to do it?
Exactly.
Yes.
The other 2, Councillor Franklin and myself. Okay. So agenda item 6, public participation, 20-minute session set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect to the business on the agenda and other matters if time permits. Do we have any requests?
No requests.
Oh, you lost your hand. Lost your money.
Everybody behave.
I shall attempt to retrieve your, no,
No, you basically go the long way.
I think the wrong way round.
Don't worry, it's fine. It's
Just
fine.
bang the table.
I'll get it, yeah.
Okay. Agenda item 7, financial information. We have financial statement, Cashbook, bank reconciliations and budget variance reports. Firstly, attachment 8A, to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council bank reconciliation as of 31st of July 2025. Do we have any comments on that? So somebody have to
Happy to
Propose.
propose.
Somebody have to second?
Yeah.
Councillor Franklin. Second, which is attachment 8. Sorry, you can vote on it. Would be a good idea. Yep. Unanimous. Attachment 8B, to receive and note the financial statement Cashbook as of the 31st of July 2025. Councillor Franklin's proposing.
Second.
Councillor Breen, we vote on that. And then finally, attachment 8C, to receive and note the budget variance reports as of end of May, June and July. Comments from the town clerk?
Yes, sorry, Mr Mayor, just to say that the first, when the agenda was published, there was one that was marked July, it was actually April, so apologies for that. But I did correct it and I did email and put the correct copy on the website as well.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to propose acceptance.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm not well pleased with these reports because the reports are for the individual months, and when we're looking at budget variations, we should be looking at it from a cumulative point of view. So, you know, when you look at the July one, for instance, if you look at the contribution of 130,000 towards the Guildhall, it's 0. And when we're 4 months into the year, the purpose of the variance reports is so that we can see if we're on track. So for instance, if we've received a third of the rent for the drill hall and whatever. Now I had hoped to meet with the interim financial officer today, but he fortunately for him he's on a day's leave, but I'm hoping, I have arranged to meet with him on Wednesday because these reports should be sharpened, and that's why I voted against them being taken off as an action, because I don't think they're comprehensive. I don't think they're feeding the information that we as councillors should have to give us the comfort that we're going to reach and contain the finances within the budget. So I'll be voting against this. I think we should defer all of these reports if you would like as a proposal. But if you want to vote for acceptance of them, I will vote against.
So I think that's good advice. So I think I'll also take that proposal from you to defer, particularly as you're owning it, to engage with the finance officer, which is your intention to then come to the Finance and General Purposes Committee with an update for discussion.
Well, if we can get a proper run-off of the variance report on Wednesday, I'm quite happy to publish that to all of the all of the councillors, you know, following our discussions on Wednesday. If not, we'll take it forward to finance and general purposes.
Happy to second Councillor Breen's proposal.
So the proposal is to defer these reports until Councillor Breen has had a chance to engage with the finance officer and sharpen up the reports and be able to re-present those back to councillors. Happy to vote on that?
We already voted on the first part, that's what I was just talked to.
No, the cash books are separate, but the cash books then feed into
We
the
already
budget
voted on A,
variance
didn't we?
Yeah, that's okay, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I said, we already voted on A, then we didn't.
Councillor Breen, can I be clear, are you happy with the cash book and the bank reconciliation?
Yes, I am. Yes, it's the budget, it's the variance report.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Councillor Breen. Agenda item 8, verbal report from our Dover District Councillor on matters relating to Sandwich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple of resident complaints that I'm looking into at the moment. One is concerning a water leak from a property in Barnesend Court, which is getting into a garden in the chain and causing considerable problems. Another is social housing in Birch Avenue, where a property is in a very dated state. The complainant suspects that it might be unoccupied. I mentioned back in June, I think it was, the Cllr markings in Moat Sol adjacent to the Co-op car park. I'm still waiting for an update on that. I haven't heard anything from DDC Parking Services. With regards to the recent Sandwich Festival, we were levied with a £75 administration charge for the suspension of 15 parking bays for the Alfa Romeo Club. Around about half of them were occupied with cars. There was no enforcement, so I'm contesting that invoice. And lastly, regarding 57 New Street, I received an email from the Planning Enforcement Department on the 15th of July informing that they would contact me after the holiday season finished. And I reminded them of that communication and await their response. Regarding the sprucer that you mentioned, one area that does need urgent attention is the pathway between the New Street level crossing and the junction with St George's Road, which is used by pupils attending both schools. And the brambles are actually overgrowing to the pathway there. And I would suggest that's quite an urgent public safety matter. Thank you.
Councillor Moorhouse, could I ask you to email me those details and I'll liaise
Yes.
with Kelly.
And I'll email what I've just written to the town clerk to these.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Agenda item 9, verbal report from our Kent County Councillor, Councillor Evans, on matters related to Sandwich.
Yeah, picking up on what Councillor Moorhouse just said, 57 New Street, a lady had a fall there on Friday. There's a big hole in the pavement where a bollard's been taken out, and I'm straight onto that. So they promised me they're going to come out and fix that. What else we got? I picked up an email that I see you sent about some laughably bad street marking at Fisher Street and Upper Strand Street. I've got onto KCC about that. I've got onto Peter Osborne, and I said either they come out and do it again or they don't get paid anything for doing it, because it looks like a 10-year-old's done it. It's not very good at all. So that is about it. There's a case that I want to take up with the councillor friend, Councillor Moorhouse. It's about Fisherman's Walk. KCC are saying that they haven't changed anything about the rights of access to it, and St Crispin's, the little pub down there, I think it's a DDC issue, but I'll forward you on the emails that I've had in relation to it, and we see if we can find out who actually is responsible for it, so we can get something done for the pub at their tables. Okay, apart from that, there's not a lot relating to Sandwich. nearest thing I expect is the hydrogen plant, which isn't far away in Manston. We're backing that because it's a green issue. We're not anti-green. We just don't want to spend money on green issues that are going to bankrupt the council. So apart from that's all there is at the moment. The bus stand. I'm running into a brick wall with that. I think it's Mr. Price hasn't replied to any emails, and I will keep trying to chip away at it, but it's getting people to respond is the problem. I dare say you've had similar problems yourself with it. I'm wondering whether we could change tact on that, perhaps. I don't know whether how strong the feeling is in Sandwich and what a petition might do, but I think we need to sit up and make people think about it, because I was actually held up there tonight for about 5 minutes because the bus has stopped and a van has stopped. So I think perhaps we can have further discussions on how we're going to go forward with that.
And would you be picking that up with Councillor Moorhouse?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Helpful. We have tried all
Yeah.
avenues from a council perspective, I think.
Yeah.
And we've had similar responses at times.
Well, I had an acid email. You had it, didn't you? And they said that Sandwich Town Council had agreed to it, and it transpires that you hadn't agreed to it. So it's like passing the buck all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. History has been rewritten. Are you happy to take some questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Bennett?
Yes, thank you. Yes, just on that last point, I do think it's a dangerous situation, and I just don't think we should drop it. My question was about the moves towards preparing budgets for next year, and whether the DOGE exercise, which was conducted at KCC, is likely to have any impact on the forthcoming budget, and in particular whether it's likely that taxes will come down, as I think you implied.
Basically, what KCC have been doing, we've been trying to write off some of the debt, and we've been re-looking at contracts, and we have actually saved quite a lot of money. And some of that money, the government has actually given us more money as well to put into the roads. So the roads, where you've got a series of potholes on one road, we're going to relay the whole road now. So we started doing that in Thanet and some other areas. So some of the money is going into the roads, but a lot of the money that we're saving, we want to try and write off debts, because at the moment we're paying an awful lot of money every week just servicing debt. And it's our sort of view that we shouldn't be spending more money than what we're getting in, because the last administration was just borrowing more money all the time, and the debt was increasing, and the interest on the debt is increasing. And the government are doing the same. We should be looking at, like you do in your sort of family budgets, living within our means. But that's what we're trying to do. So we won't have to put taxes up as much as what we would have done.
Councillor Moorhouse?
It's disappointing that you haven't received any response to the email. I sent you the photograph in time for our meeting on the 23rd of June with the non-emergency ambulance. I'm quite very disappointed that it hasn't resonated. As far as STC is concerned about this, I don't believe that as STC uses the courtroom as a wedding venue, that it's a particularly edifying prospect for the bride and groom to exit the courtroom onto the number 43 bus to Canterbury. The other issue I wanted to raise, we discussed roads. The road between the Sandwich Industrial Estate and the Monk's Wall roundabout is in an atrocious condition, and that needs to be put right very soon, as does the road surface between St Bart's Road and the New Street level crossing.
Okay, with respect to the first bit you said about the picture you sent me, I did share an email, a response I had with the chairman. I don't think I've copied you in, but I'll find the email and I'll copy you in on it. Basically, we just had an email back which was passing the buck, and I've sent further emails and had no reply. So I will copy you in on all the emails, and then you can see what we're up against. Some of it is coming from Dover District Council, funny enough. So I dare say you're running into brick walls there as well. But I'm, and try my best with all these issues.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And on Ramsgate Road, because I was approached
Yeah.
separately by residents as well, so I
Yeah.
investigated to
Yeah.
see about raising reports. Actually, there's a report on there, and it's logged as being programmed for
Yeah.
work, but sometimes that can last for weeks and weeks. So anything you could do just to intervene, I'll send
Okay.
you the report number that links to it. Because
Okay.
it is a very, very poor road.
I actually driven down it tonight, and it is poor. If you give me the link,
Yeah.
I'll take it up with Peter, see if we can get it moved up the agenda a little bit.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? Councillor Watts?
Councillor Evans, at a previous meeting, we talked about wayfarers on St Bart's Road,
Yeah.
and I think you agreed to look into what was happening there with the lease and occupancy and.
I haven't had any feedback or anything on that. I will follow it up again though. Wayfarers, wasn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Agenda item 10, report from local police representing the community warden for Sandwich. Neither are here this evening. Do we have any written reports? And if not, could we see them?
We don't.
Sorry, from the police officer.
She obviously shares her newsletter updates
does.
each month, yeah. So I don't know if there's
Yeah.
capacity for her to do anything in addition to that.
Are we content to accept the newsletter, which does come direct to us? I'm happy from the police officer. I'm happy with that. Yep. Okay, so we're happy to revert to using that as the communication tool. Okay, agenda item 11, update from councillors. I just wanted to mention one thing, but it's not something I've done, but it's something I'm doing tomorrow. I'm attending a meeting at DDC offices with the new town clerk. There is a parish council meeting to discuss planning enforcement at the district council. All parish councils will be invited, and I'll be representing the council with the town clerk. Having attended a similar type event last year, I'm not sure how much of an open discussion it is. You will get to hear a lot, with many PowerPoint slides, I'm sure, presented to us. But whatever I pick up in that meeting, I will share with members. Thank you. So, anybody providing updates? Councillor Franklin?
Last Tuesday I attended the White Mills when they put the sweeps back on the mill. So it was terrible that day, windy, but they managed to work between the gusts and the rain. So it's very well done. Like I said, it was over 60 years since they've been working. It's all volunteers, and unfortunately a large number of the volunteers are no longer with us after this time. And the White Mill, which is owned by the town council, will be a lasting memorial to their combined efforts for many years to come. A team has also been travelling to Tunbridge Wells. They've done 4 visits. They dismantled a large black stone diesel engine, which is now back at the mill reassembled, where they've got it going for the Heritage Open Day. So that will also be placed in situ. So then, when they get that to that people, everything going. So that fantastic job they've done. So therefore, I'd like to propose that the White Mill volunteers are invited to an afternoon tea with the mayor, so that we can thank them on behalf of the town. I also attended a Paul and Haven Commissioners meeting on Thursday the 25th of September, where officers from the Environment Agency talked for an hour and a half. Anyway, we talked about the recent surveys that have taken place by a boat in the river checking the depth, and an air survey, believe it or not, with ground radar. And the summit was that the river will narrow and deepen over a period, I think it's about 113 years, and then naturally find its own balance. Well, we're not happy with that. So the commissioners not happy with the survey. The river needs to be as wide as possible to accommodate more vessels and have sufficient width to allow visiting vessels to pass safely. The outcome is most probably the Environment Agency will not clear any reed beds or do any clearing of the silt. So the responsibility will be on the Port and Haven Commissioners to contact the riparian owners of the riverbank to clear their frontage of reeds and silt. This is already happening in front of Willowbank. I know they're not really happy over this, but I think that's what's going to happen in the future. The owners are going to have to be responsible for their own reed bank. So that's what I know. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moorhouse?
I'd like to second Councillor Franklin's proposal about the thank you for the volunteers at the White Mill. I do have a question on the White Mill. I'm on the committee for the White Mill. I don't believe that we've ever met
No.
during my time at the council.
They they tend to have a tea every Friday morning and then skip meetings, but
Right.
I have asked them for an AGM, so I have asked them, so I will, so if we get them here to the guild, or we can chase them up again. But I will ask them again, Councillor Moorhouse.
Thank you.
Any more updates?
Yes.
No, sorry,
Well, no, it's
yes.
not a council appointed body, but the Sandwich Community Events Association had its AGM on the 11th of September, and Jack Shepherd is the new chairman of that.
Yes. Thank you very much. He's already been in contact with us booking for next year.
Thank you. We had the meeting of the Tourism Forum last week. The key thing that comes from that we need to be aware of is, as you may know, the company called Visit Kent went into liquidation. Fortunately, the White Cliffs website was not hosted on Visit Kent, so it's still running. Some of the other districts have had problems with their websites. The White Mills are trying very hard with KCC, I think, to try to find ways to make sure we can retain the links with Visit England and Visit Britain, because those have gone down, and that's a bit of a problem for us. So I'll report back as soon as we know anything more about it. Secondly, the Mayor and I went to Faversham to the Hop Festival. I was particularly interested in the tourist office that they've got in Faversham, where they've taken over basically the whole of the ground floor of the council building. Difficult to compare Faversham with Sandwich, but what they've done is absolutely superb. They've created a very warm, welcoming space, which then leads straight to their Magna Carta exhibition, and they've got the town charters and so on in there. The key thing, it is a big, warm, open space with a lot of publications. They're selling a lot of things, and I think there are lessons that we could learn, but we have constraints about the space. The other thing is that the amount of sponsorship that the Hop Festival had received from local companies was quite impressive. There were 6 or 7 major sponsors. It helps that they've got Shepherd Neame Brewery there, of course, but even so, it's just a sign of what we might be able to improve upon, because at present we get very little sponsorship in any of the tourism developments from the town. It's something we really have to think of. The last item is that the property manager and I had another meeting with the cinema at Nessie. I think a lot of progress is being made in the cinema. He's coming out with some very good ideas as to what he wants to do. So I think that we are getting there. A lot of the improvements that the council required as the owner are in place or are shortly to be in place. So I'm very hopeful that we will see in this coming year a much better cinema for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Councillor Breen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have a few. So Folk Ale Festival, notice a letter from the chairman. Planning for the 2026 Folk Ale Festival has been well underway for the last month after much deserved break from organisers. The new committee was elected at a very busy AGM televised at Bell Hotel, and we are keen to invite Councillor Breen, myself obviously, to the as STC rep, which I've accepted. The new committees, Abby Taylor as chair, Ian Ball as treasurer, Harry Sampson as secretary, with David Smith, Jack Humphreys, Lyd Bourne, Clive Horner, Simon Mallam and Maddox as part of the committee team. Priority is now sorting out the paperwork to ensure all is booked prior to formal announcement and raising the sum of £18,000 required to put the event on. They have seen some great success in the cattle market party, which is a bank holiday weekend run by the Market Inn, and the Mermaids Rock of Conquer Championship, which is very good, with the more fundraisers planned, including quiz nights and race nights. But a lot more effort is required to get them over the finish line. When funding opportunities are available, they are asked for STC to keep them informed regarding the funding as a local authority sponsor for 25. Whilst they can't reveal any additions to next year's festival as yet, they have been pleased that they have been contacted by many local groups keen to make 2026 the greatest and best folk and ale ever. On the other part for me is my first engagement as the St Paul's champion for Sandwich. I attended the Speakers' Day with the Mayor, Councillor Franklin and the outgoing town clerk. Very good event, thanks to Councillor Franklin's much wit and humour for the laugh of the day. Very good. I think he took the sunshine to the opera singers in the lunch as well, didn't you, in the afternoon?
Rather saucy songs you were
yes.
singing.
It was very good. It was a very enjoyable day, very lovely weather. It was good to meet all the mayors from the Sept, which was good to speak to them. Also, it was my first opportunity to meet the Lord Warden, very lovely gentleman. He's very keen to come visit Sandwich when he can. And also, just to be aware of councillors, he does watch the online videos, because he mentioned a few of them at the meet-up when he's hosting on Saturday.
Yeah.
Apart from that, yeah, it was a good event, and also it was good to honour to carry the mace, the town's mace, on behalf of the mayor for the event as well.
And thank you, Councillor Breen, for doing so. Any more? No. Moving on to agenda item 12. This is a vacancy on the planning committee, and this is the council to consider appointing one member to the planning committee following a vacancy that has been made available. Councillor Black.
I'd like to propose Councillor Vicky Tomlins to be the representative on the planning committee.
I'm a bit upset about this because we've always had the Dover District Council councillor on the planning committee. Dover District Council, the planning authority, I don't think we should be voting on another Sandwich Town councillor on. We need somebody who's got the power and the ability to take forward the discussions that are raised in the planning meeting back to Dover District Council. If Councillor Moorhouse doesn't attend that meeting through his own personal reasons, then that's down to him, but we need to get representation at Dover District Council. So I'm proposing that we relook at this. I'm proposing that the mayor speaks with Dover District Council. We need more representation. The planning is just such a crucial event for town and parish councils. We need that very, very strong link. Councillor Moorhouse was that perfect link, and I'm really upset that he's not doing it anymore. So
we've had an earlier proposal which we'll deal with first, and then yours if
thank you.
The first one fails. But what I would say is Councillor Moorhouse is entitled to make his own decision, which he has done. We have separately written to both Councillor Moorhouse and also the other district councillor who hasn't attended any meetings to ask that they provide that strong link, even in absence from the meetings itself. And I don't know if we've had a response back, but I'd be very confident that Councillor Moorhouse would be more than happy to do that. I personally will not write to Dover District Council because it's our issue. We have two councillors on the Dover District Council. If neither, for different reasons, want to attend the planning meeting, that is their call. Councillor Moorhouse.
It has been noted that both the district councillors are on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and the Overview and Scrutiny Committee meets on the same evening as the planning committee. And like the other district councillor, I can't be in two places at once. But I am happy to take anything that's discussed with them.
And also
and
to generate stuff back to us.
Yeah, as we see on this agenda we can't be speaking about now, and also the planning agenda, one of the items on the agenda is a report from the Dover District Council, and I'm sure Councillor Moorhouse will graciously give us a report each month to say what he's doing. And if we do need to speak to him on behalf of planning, then we can also contact him.
Yeah, I'm sure the links will be there. Councillor Moorhouse, are you happy to not?
Well, I think if either Councillor Moorhouse attends the meeting or if Councillor Tomlins has agreed that the chair, after each meeting, speaks to Councillor Moorhouse for any issues that need to be raised.
And that's what we've already written to both district councils about.
I think it's also important that it is town councils that are on the planning committee. It's very nice if we do have district council as well, but it does clash with his other committees, which is in a way it's more important. But as long as we keep in contact with Councillor Moorhouse, so we don't keep in contact with Councillor Pembroke.
Thank you very much. So I'm happy to take that proposal that was made, which Councillor Black proposed it, Councillor Moorhouse seconded, which was Councillor Tomlins to be accepted onto the planning committee.
Is anyone else has Tomlins?
Yes.
Okay with
Yeah.
that?
Yes, we did
Sit
ask.
quietly, I'll be speaking out otherwise.
Press gang.
Vote on that? We have one.
One out.
No, one against.
And one
It's not personal against you, Councillor Tomlins.
No,
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 13, Kent County Council Budget Consultation 26-27. We were invited to submit comments by email from the town clerk for collation, and the council has now been asked to consider the report that's been prepared with the comments received, or the comment received, to be submitted after the meeting. So is Councillor Gray, town councillor Gray going to talk to this report?
I can do, Mr Mayor, yes. So
It's short.
it is short, yes, to the point. After the invitation out to all members, the Mayor did respond, and so you'll see this evening I have included his comments. He did go through the questionnaire and has provided his responses for each of the questions, and he's marked them as well. So that was the report I collated for consideration. Thank you.
Is anybody happy to propose those comments to support them, that is?
I just wanted to say, I rather think that this consultation, like a lot of consultations, is a lot of it's on personal choice. So what people want the budget spent on, some people would like more money spent on immigrants and people with a lower salary. Some people would like it spent on the roads. So I personally will be making my own return on this consultation. Thank you.
That's fine. And the comments or the questions that were asked that I responded to are more generic, in the sense that, do we want to accept cuts in the budget? Do we want to protect the services? So the answers that I framed very much are about protecting what we currently get rather than compromising any of that. So that's my proposed response. But Councillor Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I've made my own personal comments regarding the passenger transport network that the KCC run, because they want to cut a lot of that, and I'm dead against it because my daughter uses the transport as she says she goes to a special needs school. But I propose acceptance of your
Thank you.
questions.
Somebody have to second the response? Councillor Mack, will we have to vote? And we're all entitled to do our own responses as well, of course. Thank you. Agenda item 14, the wooden bridge between Knightrider Street and St George's Place, St George's Road. We've had a further update from DDC on the progress that relates to the wooden bridge. Within the correspondence we've exchanged over the past few weeks, the District Council have asked again if Sandwich Town Council are willing to contribute to the cost and funds for the work. So, Town Clerk, are you happy to talk to this one?
Yes, yes. So, yes, we've been in contact with the officers that are dealing with this project, and they have given a latest update from the Dover District Council officers in relation to replacing the wooden bridge between Knightrider Street and St George's Place / St George's Road. So there's been a maintenance inspection on the 23rd of January earlier this year, and they obviously found that the bridge needed some major repairs. It has been closed obviously for a few months, and there was a request to Sandwich Town Council if there could be a contribution of £10,000 to match Dover District's proposed and Kent County Council's proposed contributions. Obviously members will recall that was not successful, that request, so we have been in further contact to ask for updates. So the latest request is that while securing funding for the project is a material consideration, it's not prevented the project from progressing, but it will take time for Dover District Council to get everything in place, as they are reliant upon engaging with and seeking agreement from a number of external bodies. So Dover District Council now confirming the design of the replacement bridge with a structural engineer for final sign-off and approval by the Kent County Council Public Rights of Way officer. They're also engaging with Southern Water over the pipe that runs under the bridge, and this engagement is still to be completed. They're still working on permissions, consents and funding in the background, and recently they acquired scheduled monument consent from Historic England for the proposed works, and they're now in the process of reviewing the conditions set by Historic England to confirm acceptance. A date for when the work to replace the bridge might be completed is yet to be provided by Dover District Council, but obviously the Town Council will continue to seek updates. Dover Dover District Council have advised there's no approved funds budgets for these works, so they will need to either ask their full council or it will need to go to the Director of Finance under their delegated authority to request the funds to undertake the work. Consequently, they've asked again if Sandwich Town Council is willing to contribute to the cost and have said that any contribution would be well received. Thank you.
Comments? Councillor Pennington?
Yes, thank you. I have had discussions with several residents on this point, and it is causing considerable inconvenience to several of them. I was asked why we can't use the Tollbridge Fund. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of this and whether council could refer it or not, but I put that forward. I promised to put that forward as a suggestion. Thank you.
Well, my answer to that, but others can contradict me, is that the Tollbridge Fund wouldn't be suitable, and we wouldn't really discuss it in this meeting. In any case, it would have to be within the Tollbridge Fund's confines, but it is not part of the ability to give money across to another council to support their works. That's my view. Councillor Carter.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, really backing up what Councillor Pennington's already said. I've had over 10 residents contact me about this, and it's not the able-bodied residents, it's the people that have got their married mothers with buggies and small children, they're people who are in wheelchairs and things like that. Particularly going to church, it's almost impossible to get away from it because so many people live on that side and it's stopping so much traffic going over that bridge. So it's very difficult because it's the whole of St George's Road basically. So that's, I really think that we should be putting, if we don't put any money into this, even a small token gesture, we can't expect to sit at the table or have any input on what is done. And currently, I'm sorry to say this, I beg to differ with the outgoing town clerk, it's not a few months, it's many, many months now. And are we going to let this go ahead through the winter? There's no proposed date. The date could be Easter next year. And it's inconveniencing the people that have put us in this room. I suggest we do a small gesture, £3,000, so that we can actually say we're paying towards it and we want a date set before the end of the year.
So, Councillor Wiles was first.
Yes, so I agree. I've also had residents contact me. I'm personally affected because I live on St George's Road. It's not a wheelchair accessible route because there's 10 or 15 steps. No one in a wheelchair can use that crossing. It'd be very difficult with a buggy as well. But I certainly agree that the report makes the point that the budget for KCC is 2 billion. Is it 3 million? 2.6, and DDC is 22 million. Our budget's precept is 300,000. So if we were to make a token commitment of say 2,000, it proportionately it's still much greater than the other two local authorities, and I'd be happy to support that.
Thank you. I too have had residents contact me about this, and that when I explained that providing and maintaining the footpath is the responsibility of Dover District Council, they said, well, how come they can spend money on an elephant on the quay, but can't put and rectify the bridge? So, you know, that's the feedback. You're giving feedback from residents. That's the feedback that I've had, because they consider the elephant to be a waste of money and the bridge to be absolutely essential. The second thing I would challenge is, you know, we are a small parish with a small budget. The figures in the report that Dover District Council have a budget of 22 million, I feel is inaccurate. I believe their general budget is over 100 million. It's over 100 million. It's not, you know, the proportion of £10,000 of their full budget, and that includes their housing, because their housing reserve account is 25 million. So they've got a £75 million budget, of which £10,000 is less than 0.01% or whatever. Sandwich Town Council, we've got a £400,000 budget. We've got absolutely no monies left in the contingency fund, and so I'm not sure where we're going to find even £3,000.
So, as long as we don't keep on repeating the same arguments in terms of contacts, because I think it's very clear this number of us have been contacted. I'm happy to take any additional information just to keep things moving.
I just want to make a point across, Mr. Mayor, regarding the elephant. The elephant is the council is not using any of the council tax precept or any funding from the council to pay for the elephant. It's being crowd-funded and it's being funded by central government funding. And myself, Councillor Black and others are part of this, with the town team and the tourism forum. The elephant, which is a big discussion last week at the tourism forum, is not being used by council money. Just make that absolutely clear.
I accept as a resident of St George's myself also, there is an impact for residents, but it's not just about the residents, it's also about visitors to the town, because it's one of the main routes from the train station to the quay, although it's not signposted to that effect. I think what's happening is people are going down it and then realising it's shut because there's no signage.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a bigger issue, not just about residents.
Thank you.
Yeah, last time it came up, I totally disagree with paying any money towards it. When I did the football club, I put a new 8-foot chain link fence up Kent County Council footpath demanded. It was in the wrong, cut through my check and put a brand new wooden bridge across the dyke down by the caravan side. I believe this comes under, well, it used to be, it's a public footpath, it used to be Kent County Council. So suddenly, I think footpaths around the town are district council. I don't think sort of public footpath, you know, like the path out to work, I don't think that's over, but I think there's county footpath, and I'm totally against it because, like I said before, it was a borough council, they sold loads of property off in Sandwich, they've spent the money in Dover, now they're asking us to pay again, which I think is all wrong. They make a fortune out of Sandwich.
Thank you, Councillor Franklin. So if I can just sum up, we do have some opinions that do now support maybe looking at making a grant across to DDC, so we can take a proposal on that. I note Councillor Breen's comment about where would the money come from. I was looking at this and now I do support the idea of paying something, and I looked across the accounts and where I could see some money that might exist, and if people agree with it, that's great, because I don't think General Reserve should be seen as the potter yet again to be taken from. So in terms of, we have line 1500, which is a street furniture project, and sitting in there is £500. We are talking about the community caretakers later in the agenda, and there's £250 sitting there already. So what I was going to propose is that we close down the street furniture line, because it will fall into community caretakers, and that could free up £250, with £250 going across to the community caretakers. That can be decided later. Secondly, mayor's expenses. In terms of the amount of money that has been allocated this year, my expenditure is far below that and will continue to be so over the year. So I will be comfortable and safe to suggest £750 could come from that. And then finally, the mayor's attendant. We've yet to have a firm proposal in terms of mayor attendant. We're halfway through the year. There is £3,500 sitting in that finance line. So I could suggest we could, if we agree, take 1,000 from that, which in total would mean we could make a sum of £2,000 to go across to Dover District Council. So that would be my proposal. If it fails, that's fine, but at least I'm saying I support the idea of paying something, and I'm coming up with a solution for doing that from the accounts.
Happy to second that.
Can I say, I think that undermines the role of the Finance and General Purposes Committee. These things should be brought, any violence up to the budget should be brought to the Finance and General Purposes Committee and not sprung upon us at the council.
Okay, so point noted.
I'm very happy to second that, and just mention that this is something we're doing for a large number of residents, and although it wasn't this current administration, a previous administration gave £7,000 to a school to change their light bulbs, so it puts it into a bit of perspective. So, and we would be able to sit at the table, the mayor can go along to Dover District Council and say, I want this done as soon as possible.
So I'm not going to take any more comments. We have gone through comments, so I'd like to continue with that vote. I've had it seconded, as if a good vote.
Three against councillor Baker.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to agenda item 15, asset agreement between Dover District Council and Sandwich Town Council for community caretaker shed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You will recall that you did agree, I think it was several months ago, that you would, in principle, be open to the suggestion to transfer the community caretaker store or shed from Dover District Council to Sandwich Town Council. They had to undertake their legal process and due diligence. So now you have before you the sale of asset agreement that has been prepared by Dover District Council. The Community Safety and Development team at Dover District has approached us regarding the proposed transfer of ownership, and it's currently located in the Guildhall car park for those who are not too certain. And the intention is for STC to deliver a more focused and efficient service to the residents of Sandwich. Following your decision in principle, the legal team prepared this sale of asset agreement, and the inventory of all items contained within the store has been verified as well, and you'll find that at Appendix 1. Additionally, Dover District Council have confirmed that there is a remaining budget, and it was approximately £450, but I have had it clarified now, it's actually £250, and that's because they had to have legal costs for this project, and they have had to replace another shed. So it is now the remaining budget of approximately £250, which would be transferred to STC upon completion of the agreement to support the ongoing maintenance and the purchase of any new equipment. Thank you.
Councillor Carlton.
I'd like to approve this asset transfer and delegate the authority to the town clerk.
Okay, before we, sorry, I'll take some comments.
I'd just like to clarify, if we may, town clerk, does this shed, which seems to be there in the permanent position, does this have planning permission? Do we need to apply for planning permission, which could cost several hundreds of pounds? And secondly, is it subject to council tax? Do we need to pay any tax on the bill?
So, Dover District Council have advised that it cannot stay in its current location, and that it would preferably be moved to STC land. I've spoken to the property manager, and he has said that Cowley's Meadow is an option, and it could be moved to Cowley's Meadow. And I've asked the DDC officer if Dover District Council would undertake that movement if that was in agreement with members.
But would we need planning permission to
Not
put it? I would have thought any structure which is going there in a kind of a permanent.
Yeah, this is what's classed as a temporary structure.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any foundations, so you can put one in your garden, Councillor Breen, without planning permission. So that's acceptable. If it's going to Cowley's Meadow, which is slightly out of the town, we are the owners, we're the freeholders of that land, and I think that would be a good idea to undertake. Thank you.
I'm just a bit concerned. There's not a great items of value in there, but there are a lot of items that we want to use. And Cowley's Meadows is not exactly the most secure place. It's a bit out of town. There's not a lot of passing traffic all the time. I'm just wondering if it's almost a target for vandalism. Unfortunately, vandalism exists.
Could we clarify why it has to move from its present position? Because where it is now, it's next to the community event store. The two, to some extent, go together. And Cowley's Meadow, I don't feel is a good location. It's too far from the centre.
So the Dover District Council officer said it should never have been cited where it is, and that they're using the opportunity because it's coming to STC. Obviously, they would prefer that it is on STC land, and currently where it's sitting at, that's not STC land.
Who owns the land?
At Dover District Council.
Councillor Breen.
not being funny, but why did they put it there in the first place? That's my comment. I was heavily involved in the community caretaker scheme when from the outset. We had a WhatsApp group where we were out weekly doing the Delft stream and doing so. I'm more than happy to support it. But my compromise would be, if possible, as we own the donkey paddock, wouldn't they go in there? It's a bit closer to where we are instead of the Callies.
So I have investigated that. I spoke to the volunteer tree warden. She's not very happy about the idea of it going to donkey paddock because it's a small site, and she said it would interfere with the work that they're doing at donkey paddock.
Yeah, we sort of looked at that, so the doctor's surgery, you talked about it earlier, council black and council now. There's a massive, you know, the car park, there's 2 bays, I think we've got 18 car parking spaces also, but there's a big wide bit. Why can't we put the ship at the end of that wide space? So it'd still be in the car park, wouldn't it? It'd be near the doctor's surgery, so there'd be plenty of security there. And I think that'd be ideal. Because any deliveries running in and out still of the car park.
Okay,
So
so
I
that's,
put that little bit over the back there.
that would be certainly logged as a possibility to be investigated. Councillor Black.
The Council Breen and I have had a conversation. It's the place that has more traffic, and I defer to your point that there's really more traffic to surgery, but the allotments are a lot more heavily trafficked. But my question is, it's not a huge shed. Is there no room in what was called the Women's Institute store? Is there no room in there to move the thing straight into there?
So can I just suggest that we don't go down too many rabbit holes, because actually what we've been asked to do tonight is to approve a transfer of community shed and the community caretaker store. But it's more of a totality, not just the building. So it's about the concept and actually us taking ownership of that. And we're also going to delegate authority to the town clerk to execute the sale of asset agreement on behalf of STC. There are some actions that come out of that, which includes particularly the siting, but I really don't want to go down too many rabbit holes on where we might want to put it.
Can we?
Councillor?
I just wondered, they're so keen to get it off their land, I'd want to know, were they proposing to do something else with that bit of land? But just my question might be worth raising with them.
Councillor Pennington, final comment?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it seems to me that it's not really a screaming urgent issue that we need to decide tonight about a possible relocation. If the DDC advisor says that it should never have been put there, they may be right, but it is there, and we can cross the bridge of possible relocation when we come to it. As you say, we are being asked to approve the transfer of the asset, and I'm in favour of that.
So you're happy to propose that there are 2 parts, which is approve the asset transfer, and also secondly to delegate authority to the town clerk to execute the sale of asset agreement. Are you happy to propose those?
I have proposed them already,
Have you?
Commissioner.
So Councillor Pennington seconded it.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
May we vote?
Thank you for reminding me. Okay, could we vote on that? Thank you. Moving on to, this should be a positive, happy agenda item, I hope. The STC Magazine.
Oh yes, thank you.
Sorry,
Was taken
that was a prompt.
I thought we were just joining the euphoria. I hope that everyone agrees. I very much have enjoyed working with Lindsay in particular on the magazine. The 3rd issue is about to hit doormats, well, if it's not later this week, definitely starting next week. Basically what I wanted to do was to bring this report to members and to ask if you are happy to continue with the magazine. And the reason it's coming, because obviously the renewal of the licence isn't until February 2026, is because obviously with the advertising, it means the publisher can, ensure and assure advertisers that the publication will be continuing. I have negotiated that the price will stay the same as this year, and it is for 5 issues, so 5 magazines during 26-27. The first one will be April 26, July 26, September 26, November 26, and February 2027. So the price is the same, 2,500 plus VAT. and there will be, if you agreed, then that would need to be a report and a provision in the 26-27 budget to make sure that those funds are factored into the budget setting process.
Councillor Marine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I voted against this the last time. I was very sceptical, quite agree with that. However, since reading it, looking into it, it is very informative, keeps everybody in check of what they're doing, especially what the council are doing. It's good. It's a bit of a light reading as well regarding local activities and community events, etc. So I'm more than happy to propose both of those on the agenda items.
We'll go through them in detail. Councillor Carter.
Yeah, I've just got one concern, and that is obviously who is undertaking the editing or the putting together of the articles. Because with all due respects, the outgoing town clerk has been here 2 years and she's found her feet. We've got a new town clerk coming in, and I believe we discussed the new town clerk undertaking her qualifications at the same time. So I'd be happy to second this, but as long as it didn't impose on the new town clerk being able to undertake her duties as she needs to.
Do you want to?
Yes, no, please.
I've already had a meeting with Lindsay, who has been instrumental in putting the magazine together, and a lot of the work falls to her. And we've already had a chat about it. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue.
And in previous discussions, we agreed that there was a light touch review activity which the Deputy Mayor and myself do. So every article comes through our hands for either us to clear or to point in other people's directions for comments. So I think we've got a process that works, and as long as the new town clerk's supportive, I'd like to second the proposal from Councillor Marie that comment first.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. Like Councillor Marie, I was sceptical about the magazine, but my compliments to the outgoing town clerk, has done a great job in bringing this. To be quite honest, I'm a little bit surprised that we're discussing this tonight, because the first issue isn't due to go out until April next year, and this is the budgetary item that we're talking about for next year. I think again it should be brought to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, and we should follow proper procedures if we're going to have these committees.
Only in that, obviously, I wanted to, in principle, the decision in principle, it just would help the publisher with, when he's selling advertising space to have that assurance that the publication will continue. But of course, it does need to be into the budget setting process, and that will be a report that will come before the committee.
Yeah. Noted. Thank you, Councillor Breen. So we do have two recommendations. One is to agree to continue the proposal to generate content in public quarterly magazine for STC and STBF that shares news from the town council as well as helpful information for the community and residents. And the second recommendation is the expenditure of £2,500 to be agreed for the initiative as identified as community engagement with proposed budget 2026-2027. I'm not sure that we can agree the second one. But we will vote on it because it's been proposed by Councillor Marie, because actually we have to go through a budget setting process. So we can agree in principle here tonight that we support continuing with it, but we have to look at it alongside other expenditure when we come to the budget round. So can we first of all vote on the first recommendation, which is an agreement to continue with the magazine into next year? Okay. The second recommendation is expenditure of £2,500 to be agreed for the initiative. Councillor Marie has proposed it. Does anybody second that, or are we happy to change that to defer it to the budget setting process?
Happy to change it to deferment.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to revise the proposal that the expenditure of £2,500 for the initiative is taken into the budget discussions that will go through finance and general purposes and then on to STC in due course. So I'm happy to second that.
Oh, happy to do that.
Okay, Councillor Wiles was supposed to second. Thank you very much. Okay, Okay, moving on to agenda item 17, call for motions for consideration at the KALC AGM on the 22nd of November 2025.
Thank you. Again, this was an email that went out to members asking for proposals for the motions that are to be considered, hopefully by KALC for their AGM. The Mayor did respond, and that's what I've done. I've collated that one suggestion from the Mayor, and it's in the report for members to consider. Thank you.
Any comments? So we have to propose after themselves, I suppose. Proposed, second, Councillor Moorhouse. Thank you. Okay, so agenda item 18, we've got an update on the highway improvement plan. Members are to receive the update following the meeting that myself and the town clerk had with the KCC officer who's responsible for progressing highway improvement plans in this part of the county. Do you want to just give a very quick summary of what the update is?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I won't go through all the background because I think people are very familiar with that now. So the budget situation, we have £11,859.04, and the agreed priorities for Sandwich were the safety concerns for the 4 local schools, the relocation of the Guildhall bus stop, and the request for additional speed signage on High Street, New Street, Woodensborough Road and Sandown Road. The meeting was held on the 9th of September with a KCC officer, attended by myself and the Mayor, to discuss the priorities listed in the Sandwich HIP. KCC officer has now updated the HIP to reflect the agreed actions, and the updated document is attached as Appendix 1. So the recommendations are members are invited to receive and note the updated HIP for Sandwich and pay particular attention to the actions recorded in the HIP. Thank you.
Any comments? Councillor Carter.
Yeah, this is really desperate. We really should be pushing this forward as quickly as possible. We've had a lot of discussions on the HIP, and we really need to see some actions now, so I'm quite happy to propose this goes forward as quickly as possible and get these actions. I think it's been very good that it's been sharpened up and directed to the areas that need it most, and that is the schools and the other areas where there's speeding traffic and things like that. We should be thinking about the children in this town and taking care of them. Thank you.
Well, I support an awful lot of things that are on here. There's only one problem, is it doesn't take any account of the plan proposal 2500665, which is the proposed development in the vicinity of the tech school and the exit onto that road, and that will completely change the traffic flow and dynamics, whatever outcome there is. And therefore I think that part of it is unfortunately been overtaken by events and is really not worth a lot. The rest of it I've no problems with, but that one is, it's such a hostage fortune, I really don't think you can support it.
So we haven't got any definite proposals yet for that particular aspect of the HIP, so we made it very clear to the officer from KCC of that.
Good.
So she is very aware of the likely build of those properties, because that could be a number of years away, but it certainly has been factored into the discussions.
I'm glad to hear that, I mean, because there's no mention of it.
Okay. No other comments?
Could I just reiterate what you've said so everybody's aware of that? We're all sympathetic with Ian's representation on the development, but we're talking about issues that have been in the offing for a decade now, and they need to be addressed as soon as possible. So exactly what you said, let's address the items that are of the most urgent importance. That site is pure speculation. It might not even go ahead. They might get the planning permission, and then they've got 3 years in which to undertake any development at all, or no development. So let's concentrate on what we really need to do, and the residents are screaming out for the items that we've put forward. It's been consulted on, it's been sharpened up, it's the best proposal to go forward. Let's do it.
and the considerations that are being considered, that they will come to the council to agree or not, will benefit that locality, regardless of whether the building is done or not. So we will have further discussion. So the point is noted, council back, but let's wait and see what actually they come back with in terms of proposals.
May I suggest these are specifically mentioned in the minutes?
Yes, yes, of course.
Please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Proposed.
Have been proposed, but the only thing I was going to point out, the third priority item was the toll bridge. I know Councillor Evans is pursuing conversations around that, but we've had a very clear view back from KCC separately, which Councillor Mannett has got as the Chair of Heritage and Townscape. The ideas that we've come up with have been dismissed at the moment. I know Councillor Evans is involved in discussions as well, but the HIP, it has been it's been demoted out of the HIP itself. So to be aware of that, we might want to consider promoting another item, but that's not for tonight. We're here to note the report and carry on with what we've agreed so far. Okay, so somebody have to propose, you propose. Second, Councillor Moorhouse.
All agreed?
Yep. Thank you. Right, okay. So this is a substantial item, possibly. We have 9 decisions required, and Cllr Breen, I hope, is going to talk to this. Are you happy to maybe pick off each decision as we go through?
I'll have a go.
Yeah, and if we could keep our comments towards driving this forward rather than maybe replaying some of the conversations we've had in the past, so as we get to decisions, because we've got a number to achieve. Councillor Breen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First up, in terms of establishing the new charity, at the last meeting we empowered the Mayor, the Clerk and Councillor Gray to review the key documents. They've done those. Revised drafts have been circulated. The revised drafts are attached to this document for approval tonight. So I don't know whether you want to take votes as we go along,
Yes,
or wait to the end. But I would propose that we approve the document, which will enable Girlings to submit it to the Charity Commission.
I'm happy to second that.
It's the constitution briefing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vote on that, Councillor Pennington. Yeah, the first decision.
Yeah, sorry, it's not listed in the decisions. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's item 1 on the paper.
Constitution briefing note.
There's a few typos in that document, if that could be checked.
Okay, the second item in the report relates to the option to appoint Kent Community Foundation to administer this. Now, there are strong arguments for it and there are strong arguments against it. And in the Maddox Management Committee, we decided that it would be appropriate to invite the senior people in Kent Community Foundation to come and give us a presentation. The question is, should we do that in advance of a town council meeting? Should we do it as a separate town council meeting? So I would like, some guidance as to when would be the best time to do it, because it's probably going to take an hour.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I would like to propose that this is undertaken as an agenda item to the main council. That way we can be seen to be transparent, and if members of the public wanted to attend, then they could do so. And the council is seen as completely transparent, and their understanding of what's happening, and they've been a part of what's happened, and we're enjoining them or empowering them to do so.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be my proposal.
I prefer, instead of being an agenda item, I prefer it be a pre-meeting at 6 o'clock till 7. Because otherwise the town council is going to get stacked, isn't it? So we just do it before, then we can do resolution to the town meeting, council meeting.
So we can always do a hybrid of it. We can have it as an open meeting, but it can be outside the actual full STC. The issue is if it is an hour's meeting, then the meeting that evening will be particularly impacted.
Well, 6 till 7,
Councillor Green?
I was going to suggest an extraordinary meeting just solely for that. Just solely for that, nothing else. Just so we can get if it takes an hour, hour and a half, we can get everything out, everyone, because we've all got concerns, self-council banking and others, and I support it. I do feel just that one item, about that, get the guys in and have some spreadsheets, you name it, we do it. It's just one meeting, just for one item. Yeah.
Well, support Councillor Marie's proposal because we've got to get this right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm happy to, so you propose, Councillor Moorhouse, second, we can vote on that, so it's a standalone meeting that will be with KCC, KCF coming to give their presentation and for us to raise questions and understand what they're proposing.
Can I say we might just want to roll in some other Maddox grant approvals or something to that extraordinary meeting?
Yeah.
But will it be public?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Happy to vote on that?
So Councillor Marie proposed, second, Councillor
Moorhouse.
Yeah. On the lead.
Could I just reverse back to the first decision inquired, which was relating to a cost exercise? Are you going to do
No,
that?
so we're coming up to,
Okay, I'm just,
as has been said, I kind of missed out putting a decision required about the CIO documents. So at a previous meeting, we said we wanted to understand the difference between running our own independent charity and paying 5% to Kent Community Foundation to administer the charity. We said we would ask locality to give us a fee quote for doing that work. We've not received a free fee quote from them. So I propose that we do this work in-house. We've had somebody respond to the magazines who is an accountant, says that he's had a lot of experience with charities. I'm happy to work with him and with our IFO and work up a budget so that we've got some figures to work with on that. So if everybody's happy with that, I'd ask you to agree to that proposal, please.
Well, we also have similar questions to ask in the long term about the management of the Tollbridge Fund. So whether you can answer a couple of questions of them, because what applies to, whilst we're not saying we have the same financial objectives, because the Tollbridge Fund is quite different, but at least on the management cost, we would like, I think, to get some input as well. If we were to think about changing the Tollbridge Fund providers, I'd be happy to support that, but yeah, I can ask the question.
okay, so if you could exchange your line of thinking with Councillor Breen ahead of any discussions, but in terms of you propose, you're happy to say.
I'll second it, yeah.
Okay, we vote on that? We've got one abstention. Okay, moving on.
Okay, at the last meeting, we agreed that locality would have a look at the interim grant award process, and the grant award forms have been updated. They're attached to this, and we would like approval from the council tonight to be able to launch those and make them available to local organisations and groups to apply for grants.
Okay, so there are a number of separate decisions required in this section, and we do need to look at each of them individually. So, broad introduction, any initial comments?
Happy to propose that to go ahead as quickly as possible.
We do have five decisions, and they are separate, and I think some of us may have comments on different aspects. So the first one is the grant application form and guidance to be reviewed by locality and are attached for approval as Appendix 3 and Appendix 4. Grant assessment document is as previously approved by STC. I'm happy to propose that we okay, the vote on that. Okay. The next decision required was that I had offered to deal with any queries from applicants that may arise as they complete the application forms. Approval to appoint the mayor to do so is requested. Happy for somebody else to challenge that, but I'm happy to do it.
Could it be both the chair of Finance and General Purposes and the mayor?
Well, it would be the chair of the
Maddox
committee,
Maddox committee.
but the more that we dilute, the more. These are initial inquiries as far as I'm concerned. But Councillor Breen.
Yeah, this is just queries during the application process about the application. I'm quite happy if I'm available. I've got a number of time constraints, so if I'm available, I'm quite happy to assist with it.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'd like to put my name forward for that as well, because I deal quite largely with the event side of things and bits and pieces. I've had a lot of people over the last few months, especially after that press release happened that came online regarding the Maddox Fund. A lot of people requesting, so I would like to take part in that to help with queries if needed.
I think queries are about application forms, so I will defer to individuals who I need to seek advice from, but this is just about somebody coming to the front door and saying, I want to apply, I've got a question about what I need to give in terms of information. It's not about assessing any application.
No, it's purely the...
Yeah, I don't want to have half a dozen people having to be consulted in terms of what hopefully will be simple responses. But I will rely on people like yourself and Councillor Breen.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to propose that, I'll do it.
Second then.
Okay, the next one's an interesting one because we're obviously expecting quite a number of applications to come through, and we're trying to set a kind of a closing date of the 3rd of November for the first wave of applications. So when the applications come through, we've got an application assessment form. Now in the past, for the toll bridge, when monies were granted, it was usually the RFO that went through it and made a recommendation to council. But in this instance, because of the amount of money involved and because of it's appropriate that 3 councillors, or the proposal from the Maddox Management Committee was that 3 councillors would work as an assessment panel to review an application. And because we're going to have multiple applications, we need multiple councillors who are not conflicted. So the suggestion is that we have a pool of at least 8 councillors so that each application could be divided out and the workload shared. And this would all be good learning if we are going to run our own independent charity, because we've said all along it should be separate from the burden of workload that's placed on the town clerk. So what we're asking for tonight is that people agree that the assessment panel would complete one assessment form between them, whether they do that remotely or whether they get together and go through it as a team. But 3 councillors would assess each application. Margaret Thomas, who's a co-optee, has offered her services, but as we know from the will, it's at the discretion, the total discretion of the council to make the awards. So the assessment pool, the assessment team would make the assessment and report to the trustee. So that's the first part of it, and the second part of it is to find out from councillors who are willing to be assessors and be part of that at least 8 or more assessment pool.
So, I'll take Councillor Moorhouse.
As on the events committee, I would have a conflict of interest there.
Well, you'd have a conflict of interest, but that's only for the events. But if there was an application from a school or from the History Society where you're not a member, you would be, and that's the thing, because we are all members of societies or groups within the town, so we're all conflicted in certain situations. So that's why we need to have a pool of people, a pool of councillors.
I would have thought we could have management committee. I would have thought the scrutineers would come from the management committee. So we can have, what was it, quarterly meetings, don't we? Every 3 months there'd be a meeting. So the applications would all be looked. So we'd all get the applications prior to the meeting. So at the quarterly meetings, we can then discuss it. And yay or nay then. That's my idea. So we just do it every quarterly meeting, we discuss the grants.
That could well work, but I think because we've not had any grants for quite a while now, and because this is an interim process, it's not the steady state operation, that this is the way we need to work, because the amount of work is huge. You know, the amount of work that's gone into preparing these application forms and assessment forms and everything in order to give the transparency.
So all I'm just saying, it'll just be quarterly meeting, application quarterly. Once it's all established.
Once the charity is up and running, yes, I agree.
We will discuss the longer term
Yeah.
permanent solution, and that's one option. Councillor Jones.
Thank you. Yes, well, I was a bit surprised by the date of 3rd November, because although I've been outside these discussions, it sounds a bit early. As far as I'm concerned, I would be happy to be on the team. I was on the team that did the interim allocation for grants, and I'm not particularly linked with any of the likely culprits. Thank you.
And so my comment would be, I'm not so sure that a pool will necessarily work, because it could get very complicated. I just wondered if we had at least 3 councillors who can honestly say that they don't have direct ties into any establishments. I'm certainly one of those. If we've got enough that are willing to commit, but there is a very tight timescale in terms of managing this, and there could be a significant number of applications. Those people will have to commit to reviewing them and then sitting down. So that is an alternative approach. Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thank you. I've got 2 concerns. So obviously I'm STC rep for the Folk and Ale Festival. That is an event. I am also part of the SCA. The Folk and I've spoken to the outgoing town clerk regarding what my legal status regarding STC representation. So Folk and Ale Festival give me a report when I read that report to the council. I don't have any voting rights within that group. So so the way I look at it is I would be more than happy to be one of the 3 councillors. I do agree with what Councillor Franklin said. I do think it should be everybody in the committee. I do think that we can sift through it, because that's what happens before. The topics funding to come in, we can sift through it. The criteria was always checked by the RFO, and it was given to the councillors or the committee to then decide what they had, if they agree with it. The other thing is, I'm dead against, it's no disrespect to the person, but I'm dead against Margaret Thomas being an assessor and agreeing the voting. She's a co-opted member, she has no voting rights with the council per standard orders. So I do feel that should be taken out of the equation.
So just carry on with a couple more comments. Councillor Black.
How many people on the management committee? There are 5.
6, I think it is.
6. So you've got a good chance that you'll be able to get people who would not have an interest.
Yeah.
However, if you just have a couple more people as reserves, that would actually solve your problem rather than a great long list of 8 people. Because I agree with the point that you've got a management committee, look at it regularly, but to have a couple of people who are not involved in that, just to bring them in if there is such a conflict that you cannot get enough people to adequately have the independence. And I think you keep it as short as that, otherwise you're going to have a great long complicated list of people. It's got to be seen to be independent. There is one other point, and it may not be the time to raise it just now, but there is a difference between what the person puts on their application form, the key objects which should be part of their application, and actually when you look at the assessment list for the committee. I'm looking at there's 2 pages that need to be looked at, pages 54 and 59. We may come on to them later, but they're actually separate documents with slightly different criteria. I do think you're going to have to sort that out, that they match each other. They don't at the moment.
Right, okay, so that's all a bit opaque, shall I be honest, in terms of understanding the point, so it needs to be clear in terms of where the discrepancy is.
I can read that. Or give them to St Peter and deliver.
That's why we prefer.
I'm
Just to
happy
do
to
a sanity check to make sure there is or isn't a conflict.
Yeah, I understand between the assessment form and the current form, because the assessment form that locality put forward we didn't think was robust enough, and they've made some changes to the application form, so there is a little bit of disconnect between the 2. I accept and understand that.
I'll contact you.
Can I just take a couple more? Yes, thank you. Just a couple of final comments. Councillor Wells was first.
So my view would be that given that all of us are going to be the trustee of the new charity, then all of us should be in the pool of councillors. Because let's say the group is looking at 5 applications or 10 applications, there's a high chance that with only 8 councillors, it could be an event, it could be Gallows Field, it could be Horton Haven, that one of those 8 will be excluded. So if there's a pool of 16, it means the town clerk can decide when those applications come in, who is not conflicted by those applications and call on them, the non-conflicted people, accordingly.
Final comment, Councillor Carter.
Thank you. Yeah, look, we're making a bit of a meal of this.
Yeah,
Time's
Agree.
marching on. The mayor's got other things to do. You know, I'm behind Councillor Franklin and Councillor Black. We've already got a set of people ready to do this. I'm quite surprised, and I don't support Councillor Marie's comments. I think we do need somebody from outside the council chamber, and to have a member of the public on there. Perhaps a lot of you don't realise, but out on the street there's a lot of language about what's happening with this, why is it taking so long, why aren't the public being told about it. I think we should be including the public, and I would vote that Margaret Thomas is a part of the assessment committee, but she doesn't have any vote.
So that's note as well. So, right, can we try and bring this together? Because actually the timescale is tight. This isn't a committee meeting process. This is identifying individual councillors who are available in a tight window to undertake a activity that requires their honest review, ideally those, as it says in the report, who are clear of any potential conflicts of interest. So if there are councillors here who can identify themselves, let's see what number we arrive at. I'd like to say I am clear of a conflict of interest against any applicants without knowing what's going to come through the door. I'm clear. Councillor Franklin says yes.
I don't think hardly any of us are, to be honest.
I think it's a bit awkward now because some of us are represented on other bodies like the White Mills and places like that.
Yes, sir, that's the
Horton Haven, so there's so many different ones.
I'm just testing to see if we've got enough, because
Okay.
Councillor Pennington said he's clear.
Okay.
Councillor Black did.
Sorry, yeah. Councillor Pennington, you're a member of the URC, aren't you? You're an elder of the URC. So if they were to put an application in, what would be your stance? We need to get this clear, don't we?
Yeah.
So,
I can certainly say there's absolutely no discussion within the URC of putting forward an application at the moment.
well,
If an application came forward, then I would follow the guidelines.
I think we're going at this the wrong way.
I don't think there's an alternative, so the alternative way
The
is...
alternative was, well, Councillor Franklin said we had the management committee already, and then we could add 2 members to that management. Councillor Carter, D Carter, has just pointed out there's 7 members there already. So if we allowed Margaret Thomas to join it, we've got our 8 members already, and we can recoup some of the time we've just lost.
Well, let's just replay that. We have a tight timescale. It doesn't matter about having a committee, people have to be available. If we're going to hit by the end of November awards, that is the aim. So people have to be available in that window to do it. So we can't just say the committee will do it. People have to say here they are willing to put their hands up and say they will commit time to do this. If not, we'll come back at the end of November and say half the names on the committee were on holiday or weren't available or something else. That's the key thing.
Personally, I've got a 2-week travel commitment.
Yeah, I'm available, but I think we're all available on different things on the council's behalf. So A's concerned on that.
Okay, so let's go back to what decision is required. Maddox Charity Committee, Management Committee recommend that each application is assessed by an assessment panel of 3 councillors who are clear of any potential conflict of interest. The recommendation for award will then be presented to the trustee for the final award decision. Margaret Thomas, the co-optee of the committee, has volunteered to serve on assessment panels. So that's the first decision that's required.
They're all not available at the moment. Involved with other organisations.
we're discussing that each application should be assessed by 3 councillors. Yeah, each application, as opposed to getting the RFO or the town clerk or somebody else to do it.
So I'd like to propose that that recommendation is accepted. So we're not naming anybody, we're saying that we have 3 councillors assess each application. I am happy to propose that.
That's a second.
So,
No, well, we voted on that.
No.
Yeah.
who seconded it?
I did.
I just want to make it quite clear, sorry, on camera in front of the councillors, okay, standing order 332, okay, members of the community may include non-councillors unless its committee regulates and controls finances. In D of that item, they may not be permitted to vote in any matters.
That's
That's my
absolutely
serious, I've
yeah.
got serious concerns.
Margaret Thomas knows that she won't vote, but she wants to be able to advise the Georgina perspective. That's what she knows she's not going to vote.
She's assessing,
I've
not
got that in
voting.
minutes.
And the final decision on any award will be done by the trustee, which is all of us.
Exactly.
Okay,
not
moving on to the
Margaret
next
Thomas.
decision required. There's a large number of applicants as expected. The committee recommends a pool of at least 8 councillors who are willing to assess applications is appointed. The assessment panel of 3 councillors will then be drawn from the pool of 8 or more. This will share the workload and help maintain the timescale. So we're looking for a decision on that. So stick that out.
I'd like to propose second councillor Wiles's suggestion that pool should be 16.
Yeah.
And that would be easier to draw 3 volunteers from. And obviously, for each application, it would be someone without any conflict of interest.
That's at least 8.
Yeah, that's a very, very observant point. Somebody happy to second that? Concede, Councillor Mallett has done that. Vote on that.
We're all in the pool.
Finally, after paying professional fees, there is approximately 70,000 available. If the grant awards members decide the total made available and any cap on maximum award level. Well, to some extent that is included in the report in terms of the range, but there isn't a cap. So there's 70,000 available. Are we happy to support that 70,000 is considered available?
I was, it's 4 years since poor Georgina passed. I think over 2 years since we've been really involved with town clerk. There must be a bill owing to the town, to us, the council, for all the work the town clerk's done, the caretaker's done, the finance officer's done. So we must have a charge against that, I believe, because it's a lot of, I've had meetings in the mayor's parlour, with the solicitor from Georgina's estate, which was there with the town clerk. So I think there will be a bill coming from the council.
I think you raised this point before, Councillor Franklin, and I think the way to address it is to prepare a report and an assessment of the costs and bring them to the council. I think we need to be very careful as a trustee that we don't overstep the mark, because I don't know how we can vote on it without being conflicted.
A lot of time, a lot of effort being done for the staff.
Well, I think at the end of the day, the benefit is that in the future, because the fund will be giving out grants, it will save the council time and money in the future. So I think, it's just one of those things, and I think that's a better way to address it.
Councillor Carter.
Yes, thank you. I'm actually against, I'm not going to debate it because of the time, but I'm actually against the town council or anybody claiming anything against the Georgina Maddox estate. I'm sorry, that's my position. I think the money is public money and it should go to the public. I'm proposing that the £70,000 should be, as we've said, how many years is this? We've been doing this 4 years. Let's get some money out to the public, and perhaps in this first year, the decision the first year, my proposal, the £70,000 to try and top up some of the organisations that could disappear if we don't support them. Thank you.
And I agree with that. I would suggest a cap of 5,000 as a maximum. We said a range between 250 and 3,000, but because of the likely number of applications, I would suggest a cap of 5,000. If you're happy to accept that,
I'm happy to accept that amendment.
Are we happy to vote on that? Seconded by Councillor Moorhouse. objection to the candidate.
Yeah.
Three out.
I think we should put a charge
One
on
against, oh, two against.
Two abstentions. Two abstentions.
I think it's three abstentions.
Yeah, it's all agreed there will be a charge.
Thank you very much. Moving on, Councillor Breen.
Well, the next item is really about EC or Harris All Day, and maybe the town clerk will talk to this one. Help me out on
Thank
that.
you. So yes, I know that members are aware that Harris All Day were wanting us to update the investor profile summary to comply with the annual requirement of the Financial Conduct Authority. The investor profile form attached to the letter covered aspects that I know you're fully aware of. There was a query when this last came to council. They asked me to clarify on the questions on the investor profile summary, as they are really geared towards an individual person and didn't really seem appropriate for a town council. So EFG Harris All Day have confirmed that it doesn't matter too much what's put on the form, as the council have opted for EFG Harris All Day to manage the money on their behalf. So as long as EFG Harris All Day know what STC are trying to achieve, and they said i.e. growth or a certain amount of income, etc., then it is up to EFG Harris All Day to deliver that goal. The second part of this report that relates to EFG Harris All Day was a letter of authority is needed to change signatories. So the council needs to provide a signed mandate to EFG Harris All Day to support the change of signatories to the 4 councillors, which I know you've debated, which was Councillor Emmett Tuker as Mayor, Councillor Colin Wiles as Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Peter Breen as the Chair of F&GP. And there is one other nominated councillor required to be one of the signatories. And they came up with suggested appropriate wording and said that this has been used previously by other town councils. So I've quoted that for you. That text would need to be in the form of a letter, and it would be required to be signed by all town councillors. Thank you. Yes.
I'd be happy to be the 4th signatory, because I've got the chair of the STBF F&GP.
Second, Councillor Black.
Councillor Carson.
Yeah, I was going to propose that this go forward. I would actually like to see not so much of a male bias on signatories, so I'd like to see one of the female councillors as a signatory.
Councillor White, are you happy to stand down if a female councillor is willing to do it?
I'm happy to stand down.
And me.
So you're back to square one.
Yeah, no, if anybody would like to take a place, hey, happy. It's just signing a form and checking.
It is, yeah.
Can I just say something? So, I agree, because you've got the 2 finance committee chairs, and you've also got the mayor and the deputy mayor. And however, it's been proposed and seconded already, so that needs to go to a vote.
And I think it's roles as opposed to
exactly that.
So in the future, it may not be any of us, it may be all female or mix. So we've already proposed it, it's already been seconded, so a good vote. Thank you.
One against, yes.
Final one, Councillor Breen, which
Yes.
is to receive a note. Hopefully we can do this without much debate. The latest valuation report from the Georgina and Maddox fund. I'm happy to propose that.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, justice meeting, policies, procedures. So the town park will be talking to these. We have 2 parts to this, so can we just separate out the 2 parts? The first relates to agreements, arrangements with other local authorities, not-for-profit organisations and businesses, and the decision is required.
Thank you. Yes, so this is to receive and note the report. This is to share the list of arrangements and legal agreements with other local authorities, not-for-profit organisations and businesses. So council are asked to note the arrangements and legal agreements that are currently in place. Obviously the list you've seen on the report and the recommendation is to receive and note the report.
Any
I'll
comments
propose that.
proposed from Councillor Black? I'm happy to second. Thank you very much. And the second part, review of procedures and policies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, the review that obviously takes place annually, the policies that are ones that should be reviewed annually are listed here. Where there are policies that relate to actual employment, these will be shared with the Human Resources Committee first, so that they get to see the first draft before they come to full council for adoption. So the policies you have before you this evening is a review of the complaint procedure, a review of the social media policy, a new one, press and media policy, and a review of the publication scheme. You are asked to consider the draft documents, provide feedback and comments to enable the policies, procedures and the publication scheme to be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we could deal with each one individually. So the first is a complaints procedure. I do have one comment, but I'll see if anybody else has got any comments yet.
Complaint about the complaints?
No, it's not complaints, it's a suggestion. Okay, so my comment is, I think we should include, based on experience, something that's used across any number of councils. We should include that anonymous complaints will not normally be accepted, as it would not be possible for the council to respond to them. Such a decision will be the responsibility of the HR committee to determine. These are complaints from individuals, and you are expected to respond to them. If it's anonymous, we can't do that.
I thought it wasn't.
It's not in the...
We discussed it before.
We have discussed
We had it, and we agreed the anonymous ones, so somehow we got the right document.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was never, there was never any indication that you wanted it actually put in a policy. It was, yeah.
Regarded by the experts.
Okay, so if someone's happy to propose that with that additional entry, Councillor Moorhouse.
Second.
Councillor Peter, vote on that. I can give you the wording on that, so written it down.
Thank you.
Unanimous.
Okay, second one, social media policy. Councillor Black, I think, wants to talk to this.
Yes, I objected last time, and I continue to object that I do not believe that any postings in my private capacity are part of this policy. If I post as Councillor Black, that's one thing. If I post as Sandwich Mickey Mouse 25, that's a different matter entirely. And I do not believe that personal communications are part of this policy. I posed it last time, I continue to oppose it. This is the council going too far.
Can you refer to specific parts within the paragraphs?
Certainly, yes. If you look at section 4, that one was, right, individual use of social media, section 5, and there's about 3 parts in there. Personal and official capacity of 5.1. If their issue post content is critical of others and so on, these are private matters, and I do not believe they should be here. And this thing of bringing the council to distribute, what on earth does that mean? That is as long as a piece of string.
Any other observations on that section? So as it stands at the moment, it says post content is critical of others within the council, including all elected and co-opted councillors, the town clerk and all other employees and volunteers. So this is saying when using social media or email, all individuals mentioned must be mindful of the information they post. It does say they must not. So, Councillor Breen?
I don't see how we're going to work that, because obviously because you post quite a lot of stuff regarding what you're doing as mayor. I post quite a lot of what I'm doing for the town as councillor, and we both share each other's items. And also the town council shares our pages as well, because obviously Speakers Day and the Confederation shared the Councillor Chuka's post, I share Councillor Chuka's post, and then I put the post up and I've named councillors in it, so I don't see how we're going to work that somehow. It just seems a bit confusing to me.
So, Councillor Black, are you wanting to propose that particular bullet is removed or revised.
I'm proposing that the references to personal ones should not be included. So the particular things, I do not believe that personal social media comments are part of this council's remit.
Sorry, for clarity, so you're suggesting that it should be possible for you to post in a personal capacity content that is critical of the council?
Yes.
Or does bring the town council into disrepute?
I'm not saying it would necessarily bring the council into repute, but it certainly might be critical as part of democracy. I mean, attacks on an individual, there's libel and slander laws that will deal with all of that.
So this, again, back to the bullet, this isn't about the council, this is about individuals. So that's what the bullet says. Post content that's critical of others within the council, including councillors, etc., etc.
Well, I think the one I've got particularly is bringing the town council into disrepute is more the issue. Obviously, if you're critical of others, then you have to be mindful of the law.
Sorry, which bullet is the disrepute?
The disrepute is just before section 5.2, the third from the bottom. That's the one that I've got a particular concern about. The others I'm less concerned about.
Any other observations? Councillor Carter,
Oh, sorry.
talk to the chair, please.
Do you have any sweets, Mr Mayor?
Actually, no, I don't. Not tonight.
I haven't eaten.
Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. This is one of the rare occasions when maybe I disagree with Councillor Black. I do not think we should leave the door open for an individual councillor to conduct a campaign against the council on their personal accounts. I understand fully the point that he is making, that we cannot legislate and censor any views that individual councillors may have, but I do think that we should be on our guard, and when we are elected by the people of Sandwich, they expect a certain level of collegiality within the council.
Okay, so thank you, Councillor Pennington. So we'll end the debate there, we'll take this to a vote, and then this will determine. So what we've been asked to do is whether we're happy to accept the social media policy as drafted. I'm happy to propose that I am happy. Councillor Rubie's seconding it. Prepare to a vote. 2 abstentions, 3 abstentions, 4 abstentions, and 1 against. Thank you. Press and media policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I won't read the whole policy, but obviously there has been some contact recently from press, and I thought it was prudent to have a policy in place. This was on a list of policies that I'm working through at the moment. So you'll see that it's broken down: introduction, key aims, legal framework, and then it specifies contact with the media. Attendances of media at council meetings, and then talks about press releases as well. And it does mention Facebook aims at the end. So as this is a new policy, obviously any feedback or comments would be welcomed. Thank you.
Any comments?
Just
Councillor
number
Maddox.
2, a typo. Keys aims.
Oh, thank you.
Any other comments? Somebody happy to?
Sorry, okay. The last time we had a press officer in here from a local newspaper was way before COVID, I think 2018, 2019. Do we invite the press to attend the meetings as we used to previously? I'm not sure if we do that anymore.
It's never been anything that I was told that you did, and it certainly wasn't happening when I arrived. I mean, obviously the agendas are public, they're on the website, so yeah.
Just from the practical point of view, where I see an article that a spokesman for Sandwich Town Council said, I would like to understand who that spokesman or spokesperson for Sandwich Town Council. So I would like to see people who are making statements to the press have to register it with the town clerk, because I don't know who the spokesman is, and as such, I don't know how we can defend or counter that.
And that was the point I was also going to echo, is that I think any of us are entitled to speak to the press, and any of us may be approached by the press and we're entitled to give our view. It doesn't clearly state that we're talking as an individual council, not representing the council, but I think there is an additional step that should be in here, which is the town clerk should be made aware that we've been contacted, any individual, by the press, and we've made comments. So I think it should be known.
Yeah.
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 Happy to include that.
Yeah.
And on that basis, somebody had to propose.
Opposed.
Second was Councillor Moorhouse. Okay, and the final one is the publication scheme.
So you'll see that there are two parts to this. So it's the model publication scheme for the ICO. We've got all that information there, and then the actual schedule that I'm proposing. So it tells you about information available from Sandwich Town Council under the Freedom of Information Act model publication scheme, and it specifies whether the information is available on the website or in hard copy. There is one addition, so all items of expenditure above £100, that is available in hard copy, but on our website you can actually see all items of expenditure above £500, so that's what we're doing both there. Also, list of current contracts awarded. There is actually a list that runs January to March 2025, but obviously any since then will be in hard copy as I've specified. That's another addition. Yes, the asset register as well. As part of the AGAR, the RFO puts that on the website as well. So that's currently hard copy and website. Thank you.
Yeah, this is very, very important. This goes hand in hand with FOIs. If you get this publication scheme out, it assists with to reduce the number of FOIs that come in. I introduced this for Canterbury City Council, and I also worked on a team that introduced it for Kent County Council. So I'm proposing this goes ahead immediately. It really will reduce the amount of FOIs that we have to address.
Two comments on it, if I may, town clerks. The first one, it says in section 2, members' allowances and expenses are not held. I think in the interests of transparency and so forth, any expenses or allowances given to members of the council should be kind of made available.
Yes,
Yes.
so I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, so you don't have allowances, that's what that was specifying. But when you're talking about expenses, I think you're referring to, for instance, if the mayor travels and you know has expenses, those are shared in the finance reports, but they're not, you know.
Well, then if it's not applicable, not as opposed to not held.
Okay.
Yeah.
A second comment, if I may, in class 4, it says about planning permissions that we hold hard copies of planning permissions or planning permissions granted. I'm just trying to see responses to planning applications, hard copies. I don't believe that we as Sandwich Town Council hold all responses to planning applications. I think that's something that's done by Dover District Council.
So this refers to responses that the town council has made, and we certainly do have copies of those, because when we register those on the Dover District Council website, we get a report back, and those we do have those.
Okay, well then maybe responses to planning applications is the title needs changing.
Okay, I'll clarify that.
STC responses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had proposed this go ahead. I think it's a legality. We really should be taking this up.
If it's going to go ahead, I think it should be accurate and right.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it's
that's-
been proven
that's what I'm
to
asking.
be
In the point
the town clerk
Okay,
has
so
employed
I'm
some-
happy to second it and
Thank
go
you.
to vote.
With the clarification
Yes,
that I've asked for.
with those changes. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Fine. Okay, moving on to the agenda item 21, sluicegate repair for Monks Wall Nature Reserve. This report was discussed at the Monks Wall Nature Reserve Committee on the 24th of September. A decision is required.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think you've probably all had an opportunity to read the report. The property manager has provided you with engineers' drawings and 4 quotes, appendix 2, 3, 4 and 5. For those of you that understand engineering drawings, I wish you luck. But basically, the drawing includes enhancing the safety for operators of the sluice by installing a metal rail on a reinforced concrete beam opposite the existing rail. Currently there's an open drop into water on the right hand side, so we needed to address that. Recent inspections also identified defects with 2 concrete sluice gate panels that do not align. So I'd say I won't go through all the details, I'm sure you've read it all, but the recommendation is, after hopefully you've read the property manager's report, which includes the follow-up advice from the structural engineers, he's asking that council agree to proceed with quote 3178 V3, which is appendix 2. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor Moorhouse. Proposed. Councillor Pennington.
Second.
Second.
Sorry, I'm confused. Is this confidential information or not?
No.
Because it's got big prices there.
You've got bid prices.
So, sorry, what, I didn't understand what you said.
All of this, the tenders.
Bid
Yeah.
You've got the tender prices, so
Yeah.
isn't this commercially confidential information?
No, because it's actually, they're quotes. We've been out to these companies for the quotes. And it's actually the same companies you'll see. It's just coming up with different designs. It's different. Yeah, it's basically they come up with different scenarios and different options. So you're just hopefully going to agree the property manager's recommendation.
It's not a tender, it's a quote.
Yeah, it's a quote.
Okay, so it has been proposed. Councillor Moorhouse, Councillor Pennington, seconded it, and we're voting. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, agenda item 22, confidential matters to resolve under the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960 and in accordance with Standing Order 5.1.2 to exclude the press and public on the grounds that publicity will be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business acted. And this item relates to information relating to legal proceedings that contains personal details and relates to an incident in 2022. Somebody have to propose. Propose Councillor Breen.
Second.
We go to the vote. It's unanimous. Okay. Quickly take a 2-minute break if anybody needs it.